Good morning and welcome to the AM News with me, Maputo Sibidi. Now, first story, a couple has died at Ahinama Kokoban in the Ashanti region following heavy rains Sunday dawn. The couple lost their lives when a wall collapsed on a temporary structure serving as their accommodation. Love FM's Nanaya Ojima visited the area and filed this report.
For
about 2 years, the family lived in the temporary structure. The man worked as an artisan and the wife a petty trader. Yao Ejari, the caretaker of the house, gave out the space to the couple. I came here to realize the walls have fallen. I didn't see anyone. It was another man who came in to see what has happened. According to residents, the area is prone to flooding. The rains on Sunday caused the fence wall of their home to fall. Yao Ejari again. The owner of the land wanted to use the room as storeroom for building materials. They came to me requesting for the room, and I offered it to them. They have taken care of the place very well. I'm sad by their demise. Initial investigations from the National Disaster Management Organization reveals due to the enormity of the Russian water, it couldn't go through this space created in the walls, so it had to force the walls down. NADMO Operations Director at Achima Kwauma, Kofi Totime, explains the disaster is preventable.
This situation is preventable. We ascertain that, this house was built before this man came to plough the land. And he has ploughed the land for the foundation of the wall to be hanging when it rains, because that place is very huge on top. So with the speed that the rain comes or the water comes, that is what has caused this.
Assembly member for the area, Kwesi Adabo, says poor drainage system contributes to perennial flooding of the area.
Though there are magnificent houses in this community, but when they finish, they fail to construct a gutter. So it is a problem in this town.
In another incident, a 70-year-old woman and 2 children got injured when part of their homes collapsed following rains at Dompasi in the Asokwa municipality. The 3 are receiving treatment at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital. This weekend's downpour has rendered families homeless. For JoyNews, Nanaya Ojima reporting.
Away from that, some traders who were affected by a demolition exercise at Rawlings Park Sunday night are pleading with government to stop the Accra Metropolitan Assembly from evicting them. The traders stormed the AMA offices Monday morning over claims their stores have been demolished without prior notice. The exercise is said to have affected about 1,200 petty traders. There's more in the following report.
Members of the Petty Traders Association marched up at the AMA office protesting the destruction of their containers on Sunday night.
This is the only job we do to cater for our wives and children. They have destroyed all our items without informing us. And when we came to plead, they are telling us to leave. What else should we do?
Na sisi corona mbremo ukuta kwala 5 na baby o ye adman kakra ka na esi eto a sister infa na yeko ye nya Ghana for sa na mu ya nkofo ja muti tukwan ko Saudi na ekokukum ebi wo ebi sikan.
About 1,200 petty traders have had their stores and containers demolished by the AMA here at the Rawlings Park. Now, this park, which was originally demarcated as a parking lot, was encroached by the years by these petty traders. Now, the AMA, according to the PRO of the Petty Traders Association, has demolished these stores due to claims of losing income.
We are an association and we went to the AMA office. We've already write our petition to them, and today we do the follow-up. What they are saying, the place is choke, and the assembly is losing the revenue. So they're supposed to sack everybody from here so that they get a space for the park.
Some traders accuse the AMA of wanting to get rid of them so they could bring their own containers to rent to traders. Their spokesperson, however, says those claims are unsubstantiated.
No, that one is not true. AMA did not say that one to us. It's just a misinformation that people are just saying in their own. But AMA did not say such a thing.
The traders nonetheless want government to intervene.
I am constantly under the sun with an umbrella over my head. Where will I go if they sack me? Where will my poor children go? We are begging government, have mercy on us. Have mercy.
Yes, Renana. No, the regional minister by.
We are begging the president. He was the one who appointed the regional minister. If the MPP does all it can to ensure a clean city, and the NDC comes to rather help the market women, what then is the essence of having a clean city? We have children and we are suffering. This is all we do to take care of them. We are pleading with government to help us.
Judith, JoyNews.
Away from that, the Ochehene, Osajefo, Amotia, or Foripanin, has justified the burning of excavators being used for illegal mining, say though it hurts, government has no other option than to destroy the equipment to deter illegal miners from destroying the country's water bodies. He also lauded the efforts of the Ocherman Environmental Task Force, whose work he says is making an impact.
Me say, also TV now say, machine be obi akoto, ne di da tumwa, ana ahometi. Na so asodinti. Ujanwa, ochara sayo.
When you put on the TV and see the burning of these excavators, I admit it's disturbing. But if you leave them, they will be back on site again. But this same galamsey that brings you money is hunting others, and families are losing their relatives. We need to stop and find alternative means to employ these people involved in galamsey. We can embark on an afforestation project to employ them to reclaim the lands they've destroyed. Government can find money for that, but we have asked them to stop galamsey on a number of occasions, but they are still destroying our water bodies.
Proud of you, and Cobrio, Bremo, Nina Poto. TSC Muse, Potemhadi, the best as a Indian.
The National Women's Organizer of the governing NPP has claimed ownership of the mining equipment recently set ablaze by government's military task force mandated to crack down on illegal mining in the country. The Operation Halt Task Force burnt at least 20 excavators and many other mining equipment being used for illegal mining in the eastern region. Kofi Siao has more.
The task force on Sunday raided some mining sites in Labikrum, Dompim, and Pamen, all in the Etiwa district. The dozer had been hired to reclaim degraded acres of land, but was not spared by the task force. The task force spent several hours at the mining site of women's leader of the New Patriotic Party after receiving calls from various quarters, but they eventually set fire into the machines. The team, according to some persons who claim to work on the site of the MPP's women's organizer, beat up some of the workers and took away some alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages kept in a fridge. At Achim, Labikrum, and Dompim, 4 excavators, including brand new ones, each valued at $120,000, were set ablaze.
MVP for Monsarwe Jumo, Monsarwe Jumanie. MVP for Monsarwe Jumanio, Monsarwe Jumanie, Damasio, Yadamasio, Sada, MVP for MVP for Damasio, Yadamasi, MVP for Yadamasi, Yadamasio, 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 MVP for Yadamasi, Yadamasipa. Now I want to do what Mbasamba say to Abamamo. Mbasamba bien, I say to Abamamo, MVP for. Mbasamba bia mo se to baba mo Mbasamba bia mo baye ensuo ba na da ha sei mo chi ha ensuo ba na da ha 100 meters so here baby pampo when you the train one mo ba machines wa add then but the ben there am before before but the ben there am ye na wa mo ba sa ba bia mo se ento aba mama e be dam ase pa e be dam ase 2024 e be dam ase
true man
e be dam ase
no motion no excavator
Tadi amoye.
Ubaya no ye campaign ma o. Ye campaign ma o. O ma ye juma enye. Na bibinia ubaya de kwa portion. The one national woman organizer. Ne juma enye kwa juma na ya o. The one national woman organizer. Bibia forest. Kaza any forest before kwa juma. Dem ni wuti sana ba ye. Ntu se ento abama na blood power. Na ye say ana. Ye de ye power power. Nti kai uma. So wa ma adwuma se enye. Na ye ndi di wo ho a. O ma adwuma akwan na ho a. Ye hawo. Adwuma mami ye. Mami we ya opo a ma oba power. Adwuma mami ye. Wa ye adwuma boni ana. O ye adwuma boni. Nso be na da. River be na da. Che loza, yesi loza. Filia ye maseta. Che. Filia omo ye ho no no. Filia no. Loza so yesi no. Asro na excavator makwaku 8 washini na asro na field forest here you say river here nti hotel na say den national organizer nti oambo na mami wa isika watu agum isika ketua ade na omai we mai wuchi esa nti den na yamba bedi mami wa djuma wa bia amanfo mudi ni won na say fiti asu to form omam di won na say ti masa nti ayize nti na yenkofie na okom kwade ana Jebeka so mekuye kwa na mukuye enfa ye ho nyamu ye no oman we mu no se be hwese be to ababi wa
ya fa ne second kozubi maame no we national women organizer ana so ba wo de wan kasa twa metimi de wa rounds no wa twa site ye nyina ye mining yes ana enye.
The Ashanti Regional Security Coordinator, DCOP Ayensi Opare Ado retired, has taken on the police there for releasing some members of the Delta Force Vigilante group who forcefully removed him from office. Members of the pro-NPP group, claiming they were acting on orders from above, last week stormed DCOP Opare Ado's office to remove him. Although the police arrested the Delta Force members, DCOP Opare Ado says they were released almost immediately. He spoke with MFA Apawu on the Midday News.
They came to the office about 5 p.m. and said that they've been directed to bring me to the National Security Coordinator. I said I won't go. They handcuffed me, pushed me here and there. And the police came in, pointed an AK-47 at me. The police came there and picked us to the regional police headquarters. The case is under investigation with the police. But unfortunately, they haven't got the 7 persons who came to my office to humiliate me in this way and assault me in this way. They told me the acting National Security Coordinator had asked them to come to pick me to Accra. And I said it was quite unfortunate. I won't go to Accra. They handcuffed me. They locked the door, took the key. Even the key is still with them. They locked the door, took the key, and took all my phones, 3 of them, and that of the secretary, and started asking questions. And after that, they handcuffed me and said they were taking me to Accra. And I said, no, I won't go. So we started struggling. And they pointed an AK-47 at me that I will go with them, regardless of what I say.
Have you been updated exactly on what it is that is going on?
Well, I haven't asked the police about anything again. certainly I'll go to the police and find out what developments are. I was working with them. They wanted to say they will go and collect monies from people, and people will be calling me, telling me they've come to collect that amount. And even the Insura FM did a program where Mustafa, one of them called staff, will be going to those who had brought items from Nigeria and say that, and the Central Regional Security Coordinator says you should give him money, and you take 10,000 from them, bring them to me. That he's bringing them that money to me, and I never did send him anywhere. So I informed one of them who is supposed to be the leader of the Delta Force group, that this is what your man is doing. It's been broadcast on Insura FM. So tell him I want to see him. Now those guys came to me and said they were afraid I should let him go. So I warned him. He came and knelt before me in the office in the presence of Mohammed Saidu. And from that time, I told them, no, if this is the behavior you want to put up, the president said he is not interested in Galamsey and the other things that are happening, so I can.
Contestants from Archbishop Porter Girls Senior High School say although they have qualified for the National Science and Maths Quiz Championship, they are not satisfied with their 38 points. They say they'll work hard towards the national competition. Now, 10 schools will qualify out of 45 schools in the ongoing Western and Western North regional qualifiers for the main National Science and Maths Quiz competition in October.
That's a great one. That's a wonderful anthem. Congratulations, girls. Are you excited?
Yeah. We really expected more than this today, but throughout the contest we realized that it's not just about saying it, it's much more about working harder to get the points, and we've realized our mistakes. Okay. So even though we've won, this is not the highest peak. We still are doing our best to get more points at the national stage. So expect the very best from us. We will go back.
Okay, is Archbishop Porter Girls going to break the genes of the girls could not win in the competition ever after 2 decades?
Okay, so it depends on our perseverance and our hard work. So if we put in much effort, we believe by the grace of God that we'll be able to break that.
Okay, so should we expect that?
Well, yeah, more or less. Yes.
More of it. Okay, great. Thank you. Let me talk to your science and maths coordinator, Matthew Atta. Matthew, tell us, what's the feeling like in your camp right now?
For today, this is not what we were expecting.
Okay.
Yes, this is not the way my girls display.
Okay.
Because from round one, I could see that they were not all that answering the questions the way we prepared them.
Yeah.
But at the end, we were able to qualify.
Okay.
But the points we had is not the points we expected to because the points is too low. The points are, yes, okay. 39 is not what we expected to get. 38 rather.
Okay, so we should expect more work.
Yes, the team need
better performance than that.
Better. So Wednesday, you will see them.
Wednesday we see them in action
at the regional championship.
Okay. Yes. What about the national competition? What are you looking for?
Yeah, national too. This year we want to go ahead, move ahead because last year we eliminated at the 1A stage.
Yeah.
But this year we are expecting to move above that stage.
Okay.
Like always say, regional championship shouldn't be our portion.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you for talking.
You're welcome.
Congratulations once again, girls.
And that's it for the AM News with me, Mapita CBD. For more news, you can log on to myjoyonline.com. Benjamin is up next with the newspaper review.
Oh, hi there. Thank you for staying with us. Up to this point, we dig into the papers now, and it's quite a number of them we have to dig into this morning. Don't you forget to reach out to us with the hashtag AM Show. But before we dig into the papers, and before I welcome my partner in crime today via Zoom, just an alert that today we dig into the situation of a lack of potable water in some parts of the northern belt of the country, the northeast region, the Savannah region, and the Oti region. It doesn't mean it's limited to these regions, but some issues being raised in those regions. We also talk about matters of national security, especially in respect of DCOP Ayensu Opare Ado and what happened to him in recent times. He he's claiming that some operatives of the Delta forces actually whisked him away in handcuffs and that an AK-47 rifle was pointed at him. We delve into that when we get into the talk segment of the show. But right now, let's dig into the papers. And I'll be joined shortly by Gifty Ando Pia, the head of our security desk. She'll be interacting with me on the news review. But I have the Daily Graphic, the Ghanaian Times, the Finder newspaper, and the Economy Times. Gifty Ando Pia, a very good morning to you. Can you hear me? All right, so we'll be joined by Gifty. So I'll just seize the opportunity to mention that we also have the Daily Statesman, the Business and Financial Times, the Daily Guide, and, of course, the Daily Dispatch newspaper. So let's kickstart the conversation, shall we? I'll start with the Daily Graphic with some headlines. Later, we'll delve into the details. Ghana Health Service go to same center for second COVID-19 jab. So you'll definitely see me sometime tomorrow making a beeline for where I got my first shot. In fact, today I went to look for my card, so I have it on the ready. And tomorrow I got my jab on the 3rd of March, so the 19th is when I ought to be getting my second one. How about you? Well, that's a challenge I'm throwing to you. CEO Summit, government focused on strong economy. That's according to Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. I'll give you some tidbits from that story. Graphic sanitation campaign hits Kumasi tomorrow. And I'll tell you something. I was somewhere yesterday. I'll not mention where, but likely tomorrow you'll see the footage. And if you look at the community and sanitation, oh my word. So we have quite a bit of work to do. In fact, it's a Herculean task, but we were indeed promised that this city would be the cleanest in Africa. So let's get it done. Yes, we can. Sealed $2 billion leakage, tax consultant urges over illicit gold trade. I'm talking about Dr. Abdallah Ali Nachia, senior lecturer at the law school at the University of Ghana. In other stories, let's go to the international page. African heads of state set for Paris summit, and cannabis, cocaine seized in drug busts. When you go to the gender page of the newspaper, that is page 13, invest more in empowering women and girls, and that's according to the United Nations Population Fund. There's a whole lot more that we can do in that regard, and tied into that, First Lady supports Gambaga camp. You know of these witch camps and all of what happens in some of these areas. Well, the First Lady has been reaching out. The middle spread of the paper, we've made progress in Wesley Girls School. Impasse, do you know the Peace Council has been meeting with the chief imam, and we'll delve into the details of that story. Some agreements reached there. Safeguard nation sovereignty, NCC urges immigration service. On the back page of the paper, Adan Salt Factory targets 1 million tons annually. Another exciting story that we can delve into at the appropriate time. Do we have Gifty joining us yet? I guess not. So let's go with the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Disarmed security guards, Forestry Commission orders licensed timber contractors. That's on page 17. And then the Ochehene is fuming over what at Galamsey's for polluting water bodies. And we've heard of that situation, which one of the papers actually captures, of a supposed member of the MPP whose excavators got burnt. Electrochem poised to employ 6,000 youth for a dancehall project. And President's update on pandemic COVID-19 second jab begins tomorrow. There's also, when you get into the paper proper, page 3, 3 nabbed for allegedly assaulting immigration officers, and Rastafarian admission case. Court gives judgment on May the 31st. I guess some of you nearly forgot about that. Well, that one is also in there still. The Finder newspaper now. Newmont pays 1.8 billion Ghana cedis as taxes, royalties, and fees in 2020. Then there's we are into legal large-scale mining. Destruction of our machines unlawful. Extra Gold citing that incident. Several tax exemptions reliefs in 2021 budget to cushion against the negative impact of COVID-19 and waivers to serve as additional cash flows for businesses. That's according to the GRA's Commissioner General. I guess that will be it for the Finder newspaper. Now, I think we can get into the Daily Dispatch, where it says, fight against Galamsey, excavators allegedly belonging to NPP guru destroyed, equipment worth over $500,000 at play. And there's this one, Obu and Agriblue on naturopaths and vaccinations. Sanitation Minister inspects Ghana Water Company Limited's water treatment plants, and Ochehene calls for change in attitude. Now, this is one that I'm very interested in getting into. Men responsible for 40% of infertility cases in Ghana. Men responsible for 40% of infertility cases in Ghana. That's according to a fertility specialist. I'll bring you some details of that story, especially in our parts where when conception is not possible, usually the blame is assumed to be from the woman. So it would be interesting to get into that story. Now, the Daily Guide says Baumia explains the economic situation. I'll bring you details of that. And 217 million Ghana cedi financial loss. Opuni Agongo challenge judge. There's also 7 electrocuted near Shidium. When you go to the entertainment page, Miss Mexico crowned Miss Universe 2021. Kudos to her. And factions and Musica settle election feud. And, quite a lot to discourse on. It's been a while and the feud has gone on. But recent appointee, Deputy Ministerial appointee, Makro Kekru Mante, says feuding parties within Musica have agreed to some sort of settlement. There's also Ghana records increased remittances. That's on page 9 of the paper. Let's do the BNFT now. And it says, respect for nature will keep our environment clean. That's according to the Ochehene. Government bets on Ghana card digitization to leapfrog economic growth. And then raise revenue, control spending to bring debts down. That's the IMF to government. And is this something we didn't know? I mean, I always say it when these economic policies are proffered, right from the days of structural adjustment in the 80s to now. We know exactly what must be done. There's this quote by the former, he was with the European Union, Juncker, and he talks about the fact that it is not that politicians do not know what must be done, but the fear is whether they will get re-elected after they've done what must be done. So I guess that's the big question. Let's settle for the details now in the papers. I'll start with the Daily Graphic newspaper. And maybe I should go to page 16 first. I should start from the middle belt of the paper. So the Ghana Health Service is saying go to same center for second COVID-19 jab. Persons who are eligible for the second shot of the coronavirus vaccine will have to go to the same center where they took the first shot for the repeat dose when the exercise begins tomorrow. The expanded program on immunization of the Ghana Health Service has said. Again, such persons must ensure that they present the cards they were given when they took the first jab, as the card, which is a form of identity, will facilitate the data needed, as well as make it easier to verify persons who actually qualify to receive the second shot. So go to the same center, carry your card. It doesn't mean if you've lost your card, all is lost. That is not what is said. But to ensure that you don't go through a cumbersome process to get your second jab, ensure that you're going to the same center and that you're carrying your card. That's the best way to do it. Of course, there are going to be ways of verifying in case genuinely you have lost your card. But if you have it, don't go and stress the officials there. Now, in terms of the vaccination cards, Dr. Amponsa Achiano indicated that once a person received the second shot, the card issued during the first jab would be replaced with a new one, which has enhanced features such as a QR code and hologram for easy authentication. And asked whether that card with enhanced features would be internationally accepted if need be, the EPI program manager said for now, no agreement had been reached yet on international cards, but that they would serve as a proof of vaccination that would be recognized anywhere. So moving forward, you see how relevant this could be. Even if you were traveling, the fact that you had taken the 2 jabs, if it came into question, you'll be able to prove that with this upgraded card that would be given to you. Now, let me take the Dr. Ali Nachia story about sealing the $2 billion leakage. I've spoken to a number of economists, one in recent times, and some of them simply point to the fact that if we're able to stem the leakages, economic leakages in our system, we'd be able to save so much and borrow so much less. But the point is, for most of these economists I've been interacting with, they say that it's a gory picture when it comes to public corruption, when it comes to leadership corruption. Of course, it's not everybody who's involved, but if we're able to stem it, that would save us quite a drain on our pockets. We know that in Ghana, we are set to lose between $3 to $6 billion every year when it comes to corruption. So just imagine it. If our economy is worth what, some 68 billion, 70 billion by way of GDP, if we got that, that is already about a tenth. 6 billion, that's already about a tenth of what we get every year. And think about what that could do in terms of road infrastructure, health infrastructure, and even water infrastructure, something we're talking about this morning. So this one says, plugging the gaping revenue leakages from the smuggling of gold by small-scale miners will boost the country's fiscal revenue. Almost $2 billion worth of gold is smuggled out annually by some small-scale miners to Dubai and India, making the country worse off. And that's according to senior lecturer at the University of Ghana, Dr. Abdallah Ali Nachia. Now, he said in an interview with the Daily Graphic that about $6 billion of gold exported from Ghana to India and Dubai between 2013 and 2016 had not been reported, making the country lose revenue. And this wouldn't be the first time. So you see just how much of a drain this is. We export gold and we can't even account for the gold. The United Arab Emirates would say we exported this amount of gold from Ghana, yet per our own statistics, it would be something different. Of course, there would be something fishy in there. Now, on the raft of taxes, the government in its 2021 budget statement and economic policy introduced a raft of taxes, including the financial sector levy, energy sector levy, sanitation tax, in a bid to address revenue shortfalls. But Dr. Ali Nachia, who is a tax lawyer, insisted that the inherent revenue lost through illicit trading of the country's gold by small-scale miners could have generated more than the new taxes that were introduced. In other words, if we stem the tide of leakage, if we do the right thing, if we plug the holes, we can actually prevent, the profligacy, if you like, when it comes to borrowing that we become accustomed to. Okie doke. Now let's take a look at this story and maybe call it a wrap with the Daily Graphic. We've made progress in Wesley Girls' School impasse, and the National Peace Council says it has made some progress in the impasse between the Wesley Girls Senior High School in the Central Region and the Muslim community over a decision by the school to prevent its Muslim students from fasting during the Ramadan period. It has therefore entreated people to remain calm, since efforts were being made to arrive at a peaceful resolution of the matter. The council also appealed to Muslims and Christians to desist from practices and commentary, especially on social media, on the issue, since such actions could further inflame passions. And this last point is one that I want to highlight because, guess what? I've seen some posts on social media, some people I'm friends with on social media, and the sort of rhetoric, very negative, very acerbic, what people were putting out there. This is not the time for us to stoke religious tensions. Because guess what? In a place like Nigeria, look at some of what that has generated. I'm not saying it's all bad there, but we don't want a piece of some of what they are experiencing. So let's keep, level heads, calm emotions, and ensure that we can actually stay on the trajectory that we've been on. Muslims, Christians, whoever you are, whatever you adhere to, 1992 Constitution says it. You have the right to adhere to that. I think it's Chapter 5 of our Constitution. So let's abide by that and tolerate whatever, everyone wants to adhere to. The Ghanaian Times newspaper. Disarm security guards. Forestry Commission orders licensed timber contractors. But I'll start with this one on page 3. Man arrested for attempting to sacrifice nephew for money rituals. And the 23-year-old fashion designer Benjamin Ajay has been arrested by the police for attempting to sacrifice his own nephew for money rituals at Abesim in the Sunyani municipality of the Bono region. The suspect allegedly lured the nephew, 13, into a taxi cab, but luck eluded him when he was arrested upon a tip-off at the Abesim Tunnel police barrier on Sunyani-Kumasi Highway on their way to the shrine on Saturday. So further details from the police say that an informant reported at the Abesim police station that he had received a call from the suspect who solicited his assistance to see a ritualist to help him to sacrifice his nephew for money rituals. Thankfully, that did not happen. But you see, I keep saying that whatever happens in our society is a reflection of all of us. It's a reflection of our leadership. It's a reflection of what we have accepted in our society. I mean, someone was making the point to me the other time. If you were to see a 19-year-old in a Range Rover and all of that, people would hail him. How many people would be asking, how did you get that? What did you go through? What is the source of your wealth? We see people flaunt wealth in this country, and we're even talking about taxes, yeah? But you see, even when you see the lifestyles of people, if someone has a Lamborghini, so to speak, and the person is declaring a certain sum in taxes, you can look at it and say, if you own a Lamborghini, you can draw certain lines between. If you have a house in where? Is it Villaggio or wherever? Then you can't be earning anything less than this. But we let all of this slide. And then the people, the poor ones who find themselves in the tax net are taxed and overtaxed and taxed and taxed and taxed again. So you see the sort of problem we have in our country. And it just gets from bad to worse. But coming back to the issue, this bit about people wanting to get rich quick. I don't know how we're going to solve it, but I think in there are leadership problems, moral issues to identify, and it will take all of us, because now I think the mindset of a lot of people, I've interacted with young people who have told me, I want to, right after school, I want to become a politician. Why? Oh yeah, that's where all the money is. That's the thinking. It may not be true, but that's what people are thinking. Now it's become money rituals, and from Amanfrom in the Kaswa enclave to all of those we've seen, many more are happening. How do we actually curb it? Well, only God knows. God help us, and we are all involved. Now, on the Rastafarian admission case, court gives judgment on May the 31st. The Accra Human Rights Court will on May the 31st determine whether Achimota Senior High School has violated the human rights of a student it asked to cut his Rastafarian hairdo before he attended classes. The student, Ohneba Kweku Nkrabia, who was offered admission to pursue general arts, is currently at home because his dreadlocks, which he keeps as a manifestation of his religion, is a subject of litigation. So May 31, that's the magic date to take stock of. Page 15 of the paper. Now, this has become a thorny issue. But before I get to that, PPP urges government to fix the country. That's on page 11. And the PPP has been speaking in recent times. It's highlighted, issues of the youth. It's talking about unemployment, dilapidated health systems. We saw that 12-year-old Henry Nate who lost his life because ambulances wouldn't move, hospitals wouldn't confirm that he could be brought to them and all of that. 12-year-old boy, life snuffed out. Skyrocketing home renting structures, poor road networks, lack of education, infrastructure, among others. National chairman of the PPP, Nana Ofori-Owusu, who made this known at a press conference in Accra, called on the government to immediately address the concerns raised by the youth, as promised by the MPP. We do know that on the back of the protests, some government officials, the vice president, the finance minister have spoken. Some of what they've said, well, let's see how it pans out. Let's see how it translates into bettering the lives of ordinary Ghanaians. But back to that story on page 15. Electrochem poised to employ 6,000 youth for Adan Salt Project. And the Adan Songo Salt Project, now Electrochem Ghana Limited, a subsidiary of the MacDan Group, will by the end of the year employ over 6,000 youth in Adan and its environs. Group chairman of the MacDan Group, Dr. Daniel Macaulay, has said. According to him, the company within 4 months of operation had provided over 1,000 jobs to the Adan youth and would provide more within the next few months. This has been a thorny area, an area of contention, a bone of contention, if you like, on this matter. Some have said that it's depriving those in the environs of work. Others have said that that is not the case. So if some 6,000 youth are going to get work as far as the Songo project is concerned, then some positive direction there. Let's take a look at some other papers, and this one on the back of the fight against galamsey or illegal small-scale mining. That's on page 2. Story says we are into legal large-scale mining, destruction of our machines, unlawful. That's Extra Gold. And the management of Extra Gold Mining Limited, a subsidiary of Canadian large-scale mining company Extra Gold Resources Corporation, has produced evidence to debunk claims that they are engaged in illegal mining activities, popularly known as galamsey, in the Abuakwa South municipality of the Eastern region. The company also stated that it is in good standing with the Minerals Commission and currently has 5 concessions totaling 226 square kilometers in the Eastern region. Attached to the letter was a copy of its 2021 Minerals Commission mining operating permits, which were issued on March 24 this year. Of course, this has been in response to the recent burning of 16 excavators and a bulldozer belonging to Extra Gold by a military detachment operating under Operation Halt 2. So this occurred on May the 16th, a few days ago. But the question has also been posed about prospecting licenses and how a lot of these, entities are using them. When you're prospecting, you don't necessarily have the right to mine. In fact, you don't. You have the right to go to certain levels, but not partake in the sort of full-scale mining that we see. But we also notice that a lot of people have prospecting licenses and still go ahead to mine. So very relevant case there. And we'll see how it pans out, because on the other end, while we're still trying to fight galamsey, we were told that those who already legally were exploiting the mineral resource wouldn't be sidelined or wouldn't be compelled to stop. So if they were legally doing it and they didn't fall within the remit of Operation Halt 2, then the question is, why were they targeted? So 2 sides to the story. Of course, the authorities will have to weigh them and determine whether any wrong was done to Extra Gold. In the next 4 to 5 minutes, let's wrap up on some more stories. I did promise I would get into this, so let's do that. That's on page 11 of the Daily Dispatch newspaper. So, very interesting one. Men responsible for 40% of infertility cases in Ghana. Wow. Okay, so it says more credible medical sources have asked men not to put the blame of childlessness wholly on the doorsteps of women. Men should also bear part of the blame. Now, about half of the causes of infertility are due to or include male factors, and infertility is one of the commonest conditions affecting reproductive age groups between 20 and 45 years. I guess that's what many men, most men wouldn't want to hear, that you are infertile or that you have any issues with your fertility. But Dr. Edem Kehiaji, a consultant obstetrician, a gynecologist and fertility specialist at the Lister Hospital and Family Center in Accra, brought these to the fore at a Merck media training for journalists in Asia and Africa via video conference. He said there had been unjustifiable condemnation of women who were unable to conceive, stressing that women alone should not be blamed, but men could also be contributive factors to the problem. And he mentions a series of diseases that could actually affect men. He had advised men to seek early medication for sexually transmitted diseases, especially gonorrhea, chlamydia, among others. And he also spoke of oligospermia, low sperm count, and azoospermia, which is no sperms at all in semen that is discharged. One or two more stories, likely one, and then we shall go on My Joy Online. So between the Daily Guide story of 7 electrocuted near Shidium and raising revenue. So let's do this, a bit of each, and we're good to go. So the Daily Guide on page 6, let's quickly do this one. On page 6, it says 7 electrocuted near Shidium. 7 persons made of 4 adults and 3 children were electrocuted at Amanfrom, a farming community near Shidium in the Esutefe South District of Ahafo region on Friday evening. The dead have been identified as Janet Kwating, 30, K3 25, Yabertha 29, Christian Odro 14, and there's also Emmanuel Ajiman, Simon Ajiman, aged 2 and 7 respectively, and Ajenim Boating, aged 4. The disaster occurred when a thunderstorm struck pylons carrying high voltage electricity in the area. Sad, very sad situation. But on page 2 of the B&FT, raise revenue, control spending to bring debt down. The IMF charges government, and the International Monetary Fund has advised government to prioritize controlling spending and generating more revenue in order to reduce the country's debt burden, which has been exacerbated by the onslaught of the pandemic. I'll just leave it there, but it's clear what it says. Prioritize controlling spending and generate more revenue in order to reduce the country's debt. Of course, in recent times, we've heard Mr. Vice President speak about COVID-19 and its impacts on economies across the world. But of course, different economies have addressed the matter in different ways. So what can we do to shore up our economy and make it better, even on the back of COVID-19? In the next minute, I'll wrap up for sports, but let's check out myjoyonline.com. And we have this story there. Mahama's Dumso is different from Akufo-Addo's, and that's a very interesting one. Kwaku Awotwe saying that Mahama's Dumso is different from Akufo-Addo's. Then we also have Task Force destroys excavators allegedly belonging to MPP Women's Organizer. That's the extra gold issue. And then we have DCOP Opariado vows to take action against Delta Force following his attempted forceful removal from office. It's a conversation we're getting into. The system has failed us. Again, father of 12-year-old who died due to unavailability of ambulance service. I'm talking about Michel Nate. He was speaking to me yesterday on the AM show. Police await final report on 2-year-old boy sacrificed by father. You see, another one of those incidents. And then NDC has done more for healthcare in Ghana than MPP. That's Sami Jemfi claiming that if you don't fix health system, outcome won't improve irrespective of procurement you make. Asiadu Sapon saying that. I'll wrap with this one. We pay big money taxes and yet they burn our equipment. Extra Gold Mining Company. You can check out more of our stories on myjoyonline.com. Right now, though, it's time for sports and a lot to talk about. Look forward to that. That's up next on the AM show. Do stay.
If you're a player of Kumasi Asante Ikotoko, just start smiling and be walking towards the bank because all sign-on fees owed the club or owed the players have been paid by management of the club. That's according to Joy Sports sources. And how much would it cost Ghana to participate in the Tokyo Olympic Games? The General Secretary of the Ghana Athletics Association, Bao Fusene, believes that it will cost the country about $300,000. And Andre Ayew is likely to become a cult hero for Swansea should they qualify to the Premier League. I am Muftar Nabila Ablai, and this is AM Sports on AM Show. First, let's do athletics. The Ghana Athletics Association Secretary General, Bao Fusene, says they will need at least $300,000 to fully prepare athletes for the upcoming Olympic Games. According to Bao, Team Ghana had issues with baton change at the World Relays in Poland because of poor preparations, and he believes that with $300,000 they will have adequate preparations.
Only way we can avoid that is to calm them and let them have enough competition and enough practices. If they practice it enough, they will come. They can even close their eyes and do the baton exchanges. If you practice enough, you know when to take off, you know when to receive the baton, and you know where to accelerate. You can close your eyes and do the exchanges.
When do you intend to come there?
We plan to come them after school. That will be first week in June. Between June and July, the team has to be in Europe. The team has to camp in Europe if we really want, as a state, to get to the Olympic finals and to pick a medal. They have to necessarily camp in Europe for at least no less than 8 weeks. It's quite a lot. The last time we did a budget like that, it was in excess of $200,000. That was before the Doha competition. And this time around, we are looking at between $300,000 and $400,000 US.
From athletics, let's do national football team news. Head coach of Ghana's senior women's national team, Mercy Tego Kwaku, reckons the Black Queens have a better advantage of eliminating Nigeria in the AFCON qualifiers because of the underdog tag. That is according to Communications Director of the Ghana Football Association, Henry Asentichum. Speaking to Joy Sports, Henry said the team will move to camp soon to prepare for the double-legged tie. There's more in the following report.
The Queens will face Nigeria next month. However, the 2015 Africa Games champions are yet to proceed to camp to start preparations for the AFCON 2022 qualifier. Communications Director of the Ghana Football Association, Henry Asentichum, tells Joy Sports the football governing body is putting the right structures in place to ensure the team goes to camp within the shortest possible time.
Immediately after the draw, what I know is that the National Teams Department met the leadership of their team. The first request they made was that we give them the opportunity to move to camp. So intermittently, they may move to camp, report to their clubs and play, and then finish the zonal league. Then they can have 1 full week in camp to put themselves in good stead. So we are planning to move to camp as quickly as possible, and by next week, I'm sure once the issues are finalized, we will the technical team must submit their players, and then they will report to camp to start for preparing for the Nigeria game.
Many have raised concerns about the quality of the Black Queens to match up with the Super Falcons. Henry added that the technical team, headed by Mercy Tego, allayed these fears, insisting she's got quality enough to get the better of Nigeria.
National teams have not been active for a very long time. I look at that Nigeria team and it is star-studded, yes, on the back of what they did here in Ghana in the last Africa Cup of Nations. And then also their previous participation in the Women's AFCON. They are a very strong team. But we won Wafu tournament when Nigeria was participating. So it means it is possible. I think that Mercy Tego, being a former player who has played at a World Cup on 2 occasions, he's been a referee, he's now a coach. He knows, the psychology part of coaching, and it's very important. And I believe that, when I spoke to her, or when we had the meeting, one of the things she said was that yes, she is happy that the pundits see us as minnows. So once they see us as minnows, we can spring a surprise, and she is ready to spring that surprise. She says she is very upbeat about the chances of the team.
Nigeria are the current defending champions of the AFCON, having beaten South Africa on penalty shootout when the tournament was staged in Ghana.
From National Football Team news, let's do club football stories. Ebusuan Dwarfs and Dreams FC played out a 1-1 draw as they faced each other in a Ghana Premier League matchday 25 fixture. Ajenim Boateng opened the scoring under 10 minutes before Moro Sumaila grabbed the equalizer as honors were shared at the Cape Coast Stadium. Now let's hear from both coaches who had construction opinion about the outcome of the match.
I knew it that it's going to be a tough game. Yeah. To be honest, especially our pitch is not good as this pitch, and our players don't train on good pitch.
Okay.
And I don't know how they're going to find themselves on this amazing pitch. And I would like each team in Ghana in the future to have this. And we knew it is going to be a tough game, especially because they are in trouble about points.
Sure.
And we decide to play on counter-attack, to be honest. To be to be composure and to wait our chance. In first half, we did it, I think, three clear chances. Sure. But this is football. If you don't score goals, you're never going to get points. In second half, I also speak with them on half time. To be honest, they overplaying us on the middle. Yep. But that was also one kind of tactics, because especially second half, we play with two front. Yep. And I told them, if you score second goal, you're going to score a lot. But they didn't score. And this goal, you saw it. I think that our keeper should react better.
I don't think we came to the party. To me, we didn't come to the party.
Especially in the first half.
Yeah, and in the second half. At least we should have won. But it's not a bad result. Yep. Looking at the trend of the game.
Sure. 1
point is not bad. It's better than losing outright.
Sure.
We have another game at home, and I think, we're not giving up. No, we're not giving up. It's just that the boys didn't come to the party. In reality, my boys didn't come to the party today because they didn't play the way we wanted to play. Actually, I think the diminutive nature of my players also affected us, because you could see the Dreams players had that height, and they were picking all the aerial balls and had that advantage any time when it was an area ball, and that was what they used in even scoring. So, it wasn't a bad day, but I think we needed the points more than Dreams FC.
Okay. And finally, let's bring you some local stories, because Joy Sports sources have revealed to us that Asante Kotoko has paid first tranche of outstanding monies owed players who reported the club to the GFA Player Status Committee. You recall that in November last year, 4 players in the person of Stephen Eyiku, Calvin Andor, and then 2 other players reported the club to the GFA Player Status Committee, demanding that they pay them 198,000 Ghana cedis for what they describe as constructive dismissal or termination of contract. The club came out with an agreement to pay these players. It was agreed to be paid in 3 tranches, and 66,000 Ghana cedis has been paid to the players. Meanwhile, Joy Sports also understand that all players who currently play for the club have had their sign-on fees paid by the life patron of the club in the person of Otumfo Osetutu. That's all time will permit us for AM Sports on the AM show. I am Muftar Nabila. We've got more sports stories to share with you on myjoyonline.com/sports.
Welcome back on the AM show. Thank you for making time to be with us. Water is life, but what happens when you don't have potable drinking water? Well, in the course of this discussion, we're talking about water in northern Ghana, and we're going to be delving into some aspects of some of the northern regions and delve into their water problems. Today, we journey with some of our correspondents to tell you about the water situation in northern Ghana that has left many living without it for weeks. First, we kickstart from the northeast region, where our correspondent reports a suspected waterborne disease that has hit Bumbwazio community in the East Mamprusi municipality. Now, the region is one of the most hard hit by the need for water of all the regions of the northern part of Ghana. And some residents have had to resort to what can only be described as filthy sources of water. Watch this.
7-year-old Fatima Musa is one of the victims of this suspected waterborne disease. She returned from the Nalirgo Baptist Medical Center weeks ago after a successful intestinal surgery, and her parents say she's in stable condition. It started with her suddenly vomiting a yellowish liquid. It was so severe that at a point she could not stand on her feet by herself. We rushed her to the facility at Langbinsi, and we were referred to the Baptist Medical Center in Nalirgo. As soon as we arrived, she was taken to see a doctor who examined her and said she drank a contaminated water. So the doctor told us to inform our assemblyman about the situation. This 6-year-old girl, Rukaya Musa, is another victim in the community, also discharged from the Nalirgo hospital days ago. Her mother, Aisha Musa, who was with her at the hospital, spoke to Joy News. They put a tube through her stomach and brought out lots of yellowish liquid before the surgery. The doctor then told me that the water we drink in our community is harmful. Joy News in the community gathered that about 5 people so far are believed to have died from the disease since 2019. Yahaya Tani is a wife to one of the disease patients, an 80-year-old man who died last month.
He was
complaining of stomach pain and was vomiting as well. So the children took him to hospital, but he died there. The outbreak area is the community of Bombazio, a farming settlement of about 1,000 people located near Tlangbinsi in the East Mamprosy municipality. With no good road, electricity, health posts, water and sanitation infrastructure, the people are in desperate need of basic amenities. The community has 2 main water sources, a stream that runs at the outskirts of the community and 2 boreholes. A 3rd borehole facility, which was to be constructed by this NGO, has since been abandoned. However, people rely on the water from the stream due to all the time very long queues to the borehole water. This pregnant woman has just walked past the borehole heading to collect water from the stream. Because the pipe water is not enough for all of us. We are suffering a lot to get water to drink. We are always at the hospital as our kids, husbands and relatives are getting sick. We are pleading with the government to give us good drinking water, else all of us will die soon. At the stream, dozens more women have abandoned the boreholes and were here with their young girls to collect the water. Kasim Amina is a teenage mother claiming to have lost one of her twins to the waterborne disease few weeks ago. The doctor told me the water we drink is contaminated. She wants authorities to come to their aid with clean drinking water. It is still not clear what could have contaminated the water leading to the deadly outbreak, but Joy News found evidence of open defecation and other insanitary activities of the residents along the stream. We need the pipes to be situated at the back of our houses. We need it urgently to prevent further death. The assemblyman for the area, Bukari Baba, said he has filed a formal report inviting authorities at the East Mamprosy Municipal Assembly to investigate the outbreak.
The case really escalated this year. Last year, it wasn't like this. We didn't even, they were having it within themselves. Those who went to have that kind of diagnosis, they were having it to themselves. Just this year that it increased and the number has increased. Therefore, they can't hide it again. From what they are saying now, we have more than 15 or 20 people who have diagnosis the same sickness. The one who went the last 2 years, that was 2019, he died. One also said the child died. One child is just by my at the back of my house. He also died. They sent him 2 days and then they diagnosed that the sickness was from the intestines, and he died before they could do the operation.
So how many people have died? Estimate?
They are about 5. One immediate thing I think they should do is to come and then test the water.
Now, from the East Mamprosy municipality in the northeast region, we go to another region in the northern belt, specifically the northern region. And here, our correspondent Martina Bugri reports the only dam in Dungu near Tamale has dried up. The communities include Asawaba, Dungu, Nyohene, Bamaya, Paring, and the rest are Kunyavilla, Dungu, and Kukwo, and the UDS area as well. And this is the picture of exactly what is happening there.
The worry for these residents about where and when to get water in the coming days would be Herculean. Their lives will evolve around moving from one community to another in search of water. Women and children will have to spend hours in search. Mohammed Hafiz is a Form 2 student of Answaruddin Junior High School. He's just closed from school but has to begin drawing water so that he can fetch enough. He says he will have to increase the number of times he fetches so that by the time the dam dries up, they will still have some more to use. Hamza says the water is for all purpose.
We have in our area, we use it to build our rooms, and in cases we used to drink and wash our clothes. The pipes are not flowing, so we don't have a good supply water to drink and cook for our meals. People are drinking it, and animals too are drinking it.
A student of the UDS, Suleimana Abdul Jabbar, says they have had to rely on this water because they cannot afford the daily 2 cedis for a gallon of water sold by water vendors.
It has been a month since we have water shortage in this area. The pipe is not flowing anymore, and this is the only dam around this area, and we are depending on it. And as you can, when you come here around Saturday or Sunday, I bet you will cry. When you see us with the students, we are suffering here. And, some of the people in the community, they are selling waters for us. They'll go somewhere and bring the water. 1 gallon of water is 2 cedi. Okay. And imagine you are a student and you are going to spend all your money on this on buying water from the natives. So we are really suffering a lot around this area. This is the only dam that we have here, and you cannot even use this water to wash your hand. The water is also contaminated, and you are supposed to use it and wash your hand or cook something and eat. They should please come to our aid and help us. We need their help. They should support us. Just look at our school, UGS. So if we are here studying and this river, or there's no water here, we are going to suffer. So we are appealing to NGOs and the government. Please, they should come to our aid and also get water for ourselves. We are appealing to them. They should come and help us.
Another resident, Zarao, says for the past 2 months, they have not had water run through their pipes, and so they have to go in search of water each day.
So that is the situation with them as well. On now to the OT region, but before we get into that, let me just let you know that if you happen to live in the northern belt of the country, even including the OT region I'm going to be talking about, you can actually reach out to us on WhatsApp. The number is 0540109009. I'll repeat that number for your benefit. 0540109009. Just shoot us a WhatsApp with a video or even audio telling us about your water situation. Just highlight it for us. In the course of the show, we're going to give ample time to that as well. We'd love to hear from you. Now, we move on to the OT region, where residents of Okumakra, Nyane and Abongo communities in the Krachi East municipality of the OT region are calling on the authorities to help end the perennial lack of access to potable water in these areas. Now, though there have been a number of boreholes sunk in these communities, they do not contain enough water to sustain the large numbers, while most of them have broken down. Residents queue for long hours just to get a quarter of a pan of water for domestic use. The residents in these communities currently resort to unwholesome sources of water, which are mainly stagnant pools of water with living organisms, which they also share with herds of cattle in the area.
We seriously need water. The borehole we have does not contain much water. Our wives are suffering a lot, so we plead for urgent attention. Water is life. As for water, we are really suffering. We have put this before our MPs most times, but this borehole does not contain water. The other one too has its metals rusted. We need a new borehole. Our women are suffering. Voices of residents in desperate search of potable drinking water. Residents at Okumakra have depended on this source of water for years, especially during the lean season where there are no rainfalls to collect. The Okumakra community has 3 boreholes sunk for them, but the only one currently active is with insufficient water to serve the community. Residents queue longer hours just to get less than a pan full of water. This borehole, which construction started 6 years ago, we are told, has been abandoned. The population is more than the borehole. This abandoned one was started 6 years ago. The first one too has broken down. The first in the community even sank at a place liable to flooding. It's also down with insufficient water to serve the community. It took a great deal of effort to get this half bowl of water, which also stopped flowing after a minute of rigorous pumping. It is avoiding this ordeal that the residents resort to depending on these unwholesome sources of water. When we pump the pipe, it does not flow. It is not helping us. It has not even lather when you wash with it unless you use a detergent. That is why we go down there to fetch.
Yes, sir.
This one, we add alum to it, then it settles down for washing. This one, because of the insects, we use our scarves to sieve it and then we drink. This is also heavily laden with tadpoles and other living organisms. After a few scoops, a dead toad was found, allegedly killed and dumped in by herdsmen to discourage the residents from depending on it so the animals could have full access. Our main problem here is water. It is a little better during the rainy season. We struggle with animals all the time and the water is mostly contaminated. I am a herbalist and my clients do not have water to drink whenever they come around. We are just appealing for potable water. Even for school children, daily struggle for potable water is affecting the academic work. The same situation prevails at Abongo and Unwani, just a few kilometers apart. At Unwani, residents queue for water at the only functioning borehole in the community. Just as Okumakra, it contains insufficient water. Those who cannot afford to wait for hours walk about an hour just for this. Equally unwholesome. Residents who are mostly farmers say lack of potable water in the community is affecting their farming activities. The water I would take to the farm is a major problem. I have not taken my bath since I came back from the farm because there is no water. Even our children are at home and there is no water to bath them. We need the government urgently to help us, else we are miserable. Until such time that these and many other rural communities get access to potable water, they continue to depend on the unwholesome ones that would have consequential effect on government budget. Peter Senu for JoyNews.
We stay in the northern belt of the country, and in the Savannah region, the capital, Damongo, has recently reported acute water shortages. It's an age-old problem, but now it has been worsened by the growing status of the town as the capital of the new Savannah region, which was created in 2019. A promised town water system made by government to address the challenge is yet to kick off. Now, correspondent Isaac Nodje has been following the issue, but I want you to take a look at this video. It has some students actually rushing for water in the Savannah region. That is just how dire the situation is. All of them just struggling to get through, just to queue and get some water into those gallons. And that is the crisis we're speaking of. If you live anywhere in northern Ghana, we would love to hear from you this morning. We want to know it, highlight the issues, and put them out there for leadership to act. How are you getting water in these tricky times? Join the conversation on our social media platforms, on Facebook, on Twitter, using the hashtag AMShow. That is hashtag AMShow. In the meantime, we're joined by some of our correspondents to tell us more about these situations. In the northern region, we connect with Martina Abugri. In the northeast, we'll have Eliasu joining us. In the Oti region, Peter Senu and Isaac Nodje in the Savannah region. Welcome all of you. Thank you for actually joining the conversation. But let's start from here. How have people been dealing with these difficulties? I think I'll start with you in the Oti region, Peter Senu, especially there when we saw the water bodies and what people had to do, the sort of water people were drinking. Peter, how have people been coping?
Man, it's difficult for people to cope under these conditions, but you know, it's a hopeless or it's a helpless situation for them. From my visit to these communities, they don't have any other alternative than to rely on this. And so when you go and you look at the situation and the condition under which they live with regard to access to potable drinking water, it's a serious challenge to most rural communities in the Oti region. And especially women who would have to work hard to put meals on the table for their family. They have to go extra mile to get water. Some people would have to travel to other communities by a motorcade or motorbike, and sometimes they are so much crowded or loaded in these motorcades, tricycles, which is also another thing we would have to talk about at another time. But it is such a situation for these rural communities to, kind of deal with. And if you look at where they get the water from, which is equally unwholesome, because the water is sometimes stinking, very smelly, they dig around it and then they feel that the water that gathers around, they collect it. For me, it is garbage in, garbage out. And so even if you dig around it, whatever comes out looks a little cleaner. It's still smelly and stinking and equally contaminated for these communities. And so it's a serious challenge for these communities to cope, especially water, which we all need to survive as living organisms. Ben.
Right. Now, this has been described as a perennial problem. Just how long have these people been dealing with this problem of a lack of access to potable water?
Well, most of them from childhood, the elderly people you speak to, they have been dealing with this for ages. The government comes, government goes. It's been such, a difficult situation for them in these communities. And so it is not a recent issue, and then they don't even see it ending soon until someone acts. They don't see an end to this. And so it continues, especially, this part of the Oti region looks more of the northern part. And so their season is a little difficult from the central part of the Den Volta region. And so as we speak, they are currently experiencing a little drought, no rains. And so it is difficult for them. So from November or October, November, when the rains stop, to June, July, they go through all these things and then they rely on these unwholesome sources of water for daily survival, which is, for me, too bad for them to cope with.
Okay, let me cross over to Martina, who's in the northern region, our correspondent from there. Now, Martina, what can you tell us about the plight when it comes to residents in some communities in the northern region? How are they coping? How exactly are they coping? Martina, are you there? Maybe if you could unmute. Great. I think I can hear you, but it's a bit faint.
Mother always has when it comes to water, and most especially they are hard.
Who is the next person? Who? All right, so we'll reconnect with Martina. Let's go to Ilyasu Tanko now. Now, what can you report as far as this water discussion we're having? What is the situation in the communities that you've visited?
Well, the situation here in the Northeast region is a very difficult situation, and many people are familiar with this particular situation. Some in most communities are not really surprised at what they are currently going through. A case point where we're having a suspected waterborne disease in a community called Bumbazu, which is in the Eastern Prison municipality. And it's a very difficult situation for the people there. As we speak right now, we understand 5 persons have lost their life as a result of drinking contaminated water in that particular community. It is not yet confirmed. Yesterday, the Ghana Health Service officials were in the community to begin investigation into this particular situation. And all the community members suspect the source of water that they drink. They believe that this is the only thing that they do in common, or this is the only, thing that they take in common. And so all the community members suspect that this particular source of water, might be the reason for this particular outbreak, so to speak. And so, and all over in the Northeast region, it's a similar situation, even in bigger towns like Wale Wale, Nalergo, Gambaga, where we recently have government-sponsored water supply systems. But the situation, as we speak right now, is very, very dire in these particular communities. And I can tell you that in most communities, water have run out, and they will have to struggle a lot, travel several kilometers in order to get water. But and when they get there, these are not good water. They will have to rely on a wholesome water source just for consumption. So I can tell you that the situation here in the Northeast region can be best described as very, very desperate.
Just for a bit of clarity, Ilyasu, now, can you describe the sort of water that these people are consuming, are drinking, are using to cook food? How would you describe the water that they've been, they have to actually consume? How would you describe it?
Well, I don't think there are very specific words to describe this water, because and the water, it differs in the communities. There are certain communities that depend on running stream, and as I speak right now, because of the long drought, these particular streams have run out, and you can see clearly from the one we witnessed in the Bumbazo community. This is just a stream believed to be the tributary of the White Volta running through this particular community. And that is where these people are fetching the water. We also found evidence of open defecation in that particular area. So that means this is a community, they have no, water or sanitation facility. And where the water source is, exactly that's the same point where these people go to defecate. And they also throw rubbish around this particular stream. And so you can see the water, this particular water, as you can see it, looks very clear, but when you get closer, you look at it, you see some, small particles in it, clearly indicating that this could be a very harmful water. But the people have no, alternatives. They have to rely on it. And you go to other communities, you go to the water source, and for the lack of better description, the water looks very, very yellowish. You see a lot of dead animals, dead insects in the water, but the people depend on it. They have to travel several kilometers to reach this particular source, and they will have to scoop sand, literally, in one of the villages at Yapabongu, which is in the Mamprugu Mwaduri district, where I visited recently. The people had to go to another tributary of a river to dig the sand wait for a while for the water to come before they scoop. And these are very, very, very dirty water. And so then it's really a very tough situation all over the Northeast region, like I said, including big cities, Wale Wale, Naliru, Gambaga, Bunkurgu, where we have, water supply systems supplied by government.
Okay. Let me connect now with Isaac Nonye in the Savannah region. And interestingly, Damongo has a new status, becoming the regional capital. But it doesn't appear that has done much to change the perennial water problems that they have faced there. Tell us a bit about how the people have coped so far. Do we have Isaac? Isaac, please unmute so we can hear your response to the question. Please unmute.
Yes, Ben.
Great.
The situation here in Damongo, for the matter, the capital of the Savannah region, is very, very bad. Just like other colleagues have put it here, Damongo is known for its water problem from the early 80s up to now, especially last year where there was a drought. Many of the areas that people used to depend on, the dams, were dried, and then people had to resort to the few mechanized borehole in the municipality. Now, when you look at the stretch of Damongo or the West Gonja for that matter, we have communities like Ladbanga, Mogodore, Murugu, Janaponto, Canteen, Sol, number 1, number 2, number 3. Most of these areas depend solely on the Dakar dams in the area. Now, when the dam became dried, they have no other thing than to travel distant communities about 5 to 6, 7 kilometers before they could get water. Let's say, as of this year, a gallon of water was sold 1 cedi. But I will speak, one goes for 1 cedi, 50 pesos. Now, this is also a municipality where you can say 80 to 90% of households don't have household toilets or latrines. And the open defecation is the order of the day. 2-3 years ago, the municipality scored 0. They were bottom on the chart of open defecation. And that explains why the streams and the dams in the area are unwholesome. Now, the development partners were able to mechanize fill boreholes. And how did those fill boreholes survive? They all spoiled within no time. They broke down. There were 2 other mechanized boreholes within these 2 schools, the Damongo Senior High School and that of Indewura Dakwa Senior High School. As we speak now, they are broken down. And the students found it difficult having time for their books. They spend contact hours outside searching for water, and most of them who are girls, females, end up in the rooms of the male suspects. And it has become a very difficult situation for teachers and then stakeholders in the municipality to hold on. We look at Savannah region in general, it has this low water table problem. For a place like Bola district, that was the case. But there was this reverend father who came and worked it out and then mechanized the entire place. Now water situation in Bola is better. We can't say that to Salaga and Sola and other areas. They are also facing similar problem. I would just say that the basic water source in Savannah region are streams and then duckouts. Apart from that, people can't just boast of potable water from mechanized boreholes or any other source, apart from going to the stream and other areas. We look at the rural districts. We talk about East Gonja. East Gonja and North Gonja. We're talking about like Daboya and that of Salaga. And the new region, Northeast Gonja, the Northeast Gonja district, close to Salaga. These areas also depend on duckouts. And once they don't have household latrines, you can imagine the danger they're facing. Now, we also realized that last year, somewhere in October, the government of Akufo-Addo came and cut short for the construction of a $49 million project, Damongo Expansion Water Project. Up to now, this is the 10th month, no work on the ground. And the stakeholders are saying that, I'm talking about government representatives, the regional minister, and then the CEO of Ghana Water Company, Dr. Brahma Clifford, are saying that they were supposed to do this thing some 5-6 months ago, but they needed to bring certain things together to be able to push everybody ahead. the duration given has elapsed and no work is underground. So we will also face a situation where workers who have been posted to the region, mostly for the regional level, many of them have left. We can count 1, 2, 3, 4 of them who have left. Why? Because the water supply system in the metropolis, Damago Township, is very, very poor and dangerous to the health of people. Somewhere 3 months ago, if you go to the West Gonja Hospital, you see people with cholera cases. I spotted a friend who is with the Ghana Police Service in the region. He was equally helpful. Marcel was there with typhoid case, all because of the water. Now you have people importing water from Tambari and WAP from Sachets. You can imagine the cost. And every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, people will import water from Tambari or WAP to be able to drink because they don't believe in the source of water that they produce from the region as pure water. So this is the dilemma people are facing here.
So in other words, people are even, importing water from other parts of the northern region. But let me just find out from you, even as we focus on the Savannah region. You mentioned that $40+ million project that government is set to initiate, which 10 months down the line has not materialized. But when it comes to the One Village, One Dam, program, have the members of the community, have they benefited in any way from the One Village, One Dam program? Break it down for us. What is the reality?
Then, apart from the Solar Tuna Kaba district, the rest are fiasco. Fiasco in the sense that if you move to, let's take West Gonja, for example, Murugu is the hard head. Murugu, Maunore, these areas, you go, you see the dam look like a stream. It's not well constructed, and the water will not even stay. If you go to Daboya, that's North Gonja, similar situation. That of West Gonja, Central Gonja, is a bit better. They have about 3-4 dams. But Solar Tuna Kalba is dominating with close to 10 One Village, One dams. But once they are dug from a distance that are not close to houses, people actually find it difficult accessing them. So if also look at that of East Gonja, and then we are talking about Salga and then Salga North. These areas, they also have water problem, very similar to that of Damago. So the situation when it comes to One Village, One Dam is not all that reliable. And stakeholders who try to talk about it don't have the courage because of political reasons. Even residents or habitants within these affected areas can't equally talk about it because the assemblymen can't take it forward. And when people outside their peripheries want to state their case or make it look like all is not well in terms of water supply in these areas, they are being heckled. And it is not something that people have the courage to talk about for it to be addressed.
Okay, so just to clarify, I just want a yes or no answer to this one. So in most instances, the dams are extant, they are available, but because of the distance, people can't use them. That's the reality. That's what you're saying.
No, not exactly. The dams are available in Solar Tuna Kalba and that of North Gonja districts. The rest don't have them. They are not visible. You see something like a stream and water cannot stay there.
Okay.
Those that people cannot access are just through districts.
All right. So you can reach out to us on those numbers you see on your screen and tell us what your water situation is, especially if you're in the northern belt of the country. Of course, our call line 0302-211-961 extension 2 via WhatsApp 0540-109-009. Via WhatsApp, you can also share your videos or what exactly the picture is if you want to do that. If Martina can hear me now, Martina in the northern region. Martina Bugri.
Yes, I can hear you.
Great, loud and clear now. What is the picture when it comes to the water situation in the northern region?
The northern region has always had this peculiar problem when it comes to water. During the rainy season, we have floods everywhere. But right from October, the place gets dried up, and most dams, which largely rural communities depend on, dry up. This year was exceptional. High temperatures, sometimes ranging up to 41. Most dams dried up. And so community after community, these dams were all gone, and people had to dig the bed to took water. Sometimes you see this water run, it could pass for a chocolate drink, and people just draw it like that and they go ahead to drink. In some communities, they didn't even have anything at all. Yendi, for instance, they had issues. They had to transport water from other parts of the region to Yendi because the Oti River that supplies water to be pumped to the area dried up, and there was nothing for the people. It is not just this year that we have had this. It has always been there, and people keep hoping that government after government will do something about the water issues in the region, but little has been done for the people.
So tell me, we've spoken about one village, one dam, and all of that. What measures have been put in place by establishment, by government to alleviate the situation? We know that the Ghana Water Company Limited doesn't reach all parts of the country, but what has been done so far in respect of one village, one dam, and what other projects are in place for the people to ensure they get potable water?
They have very small town water systems that supply some other towns, but most of them are broken down, and so it means that in these communities, they won't have water because the systems are down. When it comes to one village, one dam, most of those that were constructed, the communities themselves have described them as shoddy work done, and most of them could not retain water for them to use after some few months. And so you go to communities. I was in the community in Tatale, and in December, the dam was already gone, and the people had to look for elsewhere to get water. And so these dams, yes, they were constructed in some of the areas, but poorly done, and so the water does not last as it's supposed to be. Some traditional dams that were constructed years ago even serve the people better than these dams that were recently constructed.
Now, we're told that this also impacts the price of water in some places, like we heard from the Savannah region. A gallon of water goes for 1 cedi, 50 pesos, and even some people import water into their communities. Is that the reality in the northern region as well? How much does a gallon of water go for?
Water, a tanker used to go, in February, a tanker was sold as 120 Ghana cedis. It moved to 140 Ghana cedis in April, and just this May, it moved to 170 Ghana cedis. And so that's how fast it keeps moving. Fortunately, the rains have started, but the water is so milky, and people would have to just depend on this water because there is no other source that they can depend on.
Maybe my final bit to you right now, Martina. How has this impacted sanitation in the region, in the communities you visited?
Sanitation is a huge challenge. Now, most of these communities do not have toilet facilities, and so these people defecate anywhere and outside like that. The rains come, it washes everything back into these dams that they drink. But because there is nothing to rely on, they would have to still depend on these dams.
Well, so we've been exploring with some of our correspondents, and don't leave us yet, but we've gone to the Savannah region, the northern region, the Oti region as well, and the northeast region as well. And we've been exploring the situation, the real situation of people when it comes to something as basic as water. We are talking SDGs here, access to water, something as basic as that. We'll take some of your messages that you've been sharing with us on Facebook, but don't you forget that you can get interactive with us. Call that number, especially if you find yourself in the northern belt of the country. What is your water situation? 0302 211 961 extension 2, or WhatsApp 0540 109 009. Let's take some of those Facebook comments now. And this one says, so many parts of, that was the question we actually put out there, many parts of northern Ghana have recently reported acute water shortages. Do you live in northern Ghana? That is not the northern region, the northern belt of the country. Are you affected? And tell us how you are coping. That's what we shared with the hashtag AM Show. Now let's check out some of the comments, the responses that have come through. Richard Osman says, the people of Saula are grateful to our Lord for a 24/7 flow. That's interesting because the reporter was saying that in some communities, including Saula, it's not that easy gaining access to water. So we'll have to, weigh both responses we are getting. If you are getting water indeed, then it's a blessing. This one is from fellow Ghanaians. Interesting. You say, I've never seen our tap flowing since my dad was transferred to the Savannah region 10 years ago. 10 years. And you say, yet someone is talking about, okay, so I see where you're going. But you're saying, basically, we're talking about SIM card re-registration while there are crucial issues to be tackled. Thank you for sending in that one. Boom Sparrow says, instead of taking responsibility and facing the real issues, they say we should fix our attitudes. I wonder whether the attitude was responsible for destroying the non-existing potable water. If it is not there, it is not there. Government is not religious and moral education tutoring. Neither are the citizens. Okay. And you say that is why governments must fix the situation. Right. Razak says, one village, one dam. No, what happened to it? That's Razak. Akosia Sewa says, okay, so let's move on. Frederick says, I'm from Buife in the Savannah region. Water issues are really a big challenge. But before we go on with the messages, we have a call. Abdul Kalui from the Savannah region. Abdul, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Great. So you're in the Savannah region. Where specifically in the Savannah region, and what is your water story?
Yes, this is Abdul Ghani Mankarbo calling from Doboya Mankarbo. I'm from Doboya Mankarbo, exactly.
Right.
It's like the water crisis in the various, especially the three northern regions, is very bad for us. We are just always, we are seeing people, our political leaders, especially the members of parliament at the various constituencies, promising that they will give us the boreholes or potable water to drink. But up to now, day in, day out, you can hear people are crying in terms of water, especially the secondary school. Example like Yapik, Sankala, near to Centuriole in Tamale, but Sankala is part of Savannah region. But if you go there and see how they are suffering in terms of water, it's very bad. But their member of parliament promised them that you will give them potable water. We all know that it's not the duty of MP, but they always promise for those things. But if we win, or after the election, you will come back and do those things for the people. But not very well. Without the people, you can't get the power. It's the people who give you the power. The only thing you can do, if they give you the power, you also to come back and support them what they need. At the end of the day, you want to follow the community. Just see the video. See how people are suffering. Our own matter is very bad in terms of water in Savannah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, Abdul Ghani from the Savannah region. So we'll go back to social media and, wrap up with the messages there. But don't you forget, you can actually still call those numbers 0302 211 961 extension 2. It's on your screen, and on WhatsApp 0540 109 009. In your community, especially via WhatsApp, you can shoot us a video. Let us know what the reality is. So we'll check out more of the social media messages. Frederick Ahosu says, I am from Buife in the Savannah region. Water issues are really a big challenge. There is no major water plant in Buife, and all the boreholes are not having enough water for even domestic use. Now, this is a recurrent theme because as we spoke to our reporters, some of them said that, even some of the boreholes can't provide the needs of the people. And you add, even the boreholes are full of salt, which makes it undrinkable. We need water. So the water is hard, so to speak. It is hard water that comes out, salty water. If we have any other messages coming through on social media, we'll check them out. You can still reach out to us on Facebook as we pose that question with the hashtag AMShow. Ibrahim Basha says, I'm from Treponi. Our dam has dried out about 2 months ago. Nothing has been done about it, and it's affecting all the sub-districts. So I suppose that would be a 1v1D, a one village, one dam, supposedly. And if it has dried up, then that's quite a situation. Abdul Jalil says, I'm from Wale Wale. Our pipe water stopped flowing almost 6 months ago, while others almost 3 years ago. Interestingly, that is where His Excellency, the Vice President, is from. So I guess that's a bit of a concern there, Mr. Vice President. Your people are reaching out. And you see that immediately under it, David Nyemwa says, what is, I don't want to just say Baumia, what is His Excellency, the Vice President, saying? Yusuf Sofo says, if you really want to stop water shortages, stop officials of the Ghana Water Company from owning water tankers. If not, nothing will ever change. So that's an interesting submission, because you are suggesting then that some of these people own the water tankers and so they are benefiting from it. And so until we take out that, factor, we're not going to go anywhere. Wow, that's an interesting submission. Let's look at some more messages. Haruna Brahma says, Damongo, we get water when it rains or from boreholes. Wow. When it rains, that's when you get water. Reindorf says, it's not easy in Yendi. We have Hassan on the line. Hassan, good morning. Hello, Hassan. Oh, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Hassan, if you can hear me, do call again. I'll be waiting for your call. 0302-211-961 extension 2. Reindorf says it's not easy in Yendi. Well, baby, I know it. Nana J. Kufuor Samuel, let's just scroll up and get that. I think government can use the White Volta to create a big dam for the northern regions and create 3 bigger dams, I think you mean. One in the western, one in central, and one in eastern. How can we leave our brothers? So if we could scroll up a bit. Right. So how can we leave our brothers in the northern area to die? We need to do a demonstration against this discrimination. All right. Hassan is on now. Good morning, Hassan.
Yeah, good morning.
Great. Where are you calling from?
Northern region.
Where in the northern region?
Kumbungu constituency.
Right.
Yeah.
So what can you report from there? What is your water situation?
I don't have water problem where I stay.
Good for you.
Yeah, the water is flowing normal. Everything is coming from, everything is good.
Hassan. Okay, so Hassan at least is saying that for him, he has water in Kumbungu, and that is the situation. You know what? If you find yourself in Kumbungu, call me as well and let me know. Is that your reality? It's not to say I doubt Hassan, but I would like to have various, reports from different people to find out what the reality of the situation is. So to wrap up the conversation, I believe we still have Isaac, Peter, Eliasu, and Martina. Okay. So we're still going to await your calls while we take some messages, and we'll be wrapping up in a few minutes. Umar Ibrahim says, your government is using millions of your money to build a cathedral while people are suffering from water shortage. And the question is, if you don't get water to cook food, drink, and bath, how can you then be able to go to church? Okay, so your focus is on being able to go to church after having access to water. But that's our reality. You know, water is life and water is everything. If you want to process something, industry, you need water. If you want to cook, you need water. Of course, our bodies are about 70% water. How do we cope without it? And you see, when it comes to issues like this, the Ghana Water Company Limited does not reach every part of the country. But there are ingrained problems that we need to deal with. The CWSA, the community water systems, yes, they are trying their bit. You have the Catholic Relief Services and all of that doing their bit. But up until when? The SDGs, I remind us of that. They are part of our ecosystem. We've been dealing with them. When will people have access to potable drinking water? Some of these communities have gone decades without them. Why is that the case? We have Henry joining us right here in Accra. Henry, good morning.
I'm so touched, so much touched about what I'm seeing on telly. Yes. Yes. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Henry. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm so much touched. I mean, how can human beings be drinking such water? We have assemblyman in that area. You see, we cannot put all this blame on government who is in Accra. That is why we have this assemblyman, we have district, blah, 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 and it goes all the way before it comes to the president. If assemblyman in the area is not able to see this, and so can report, and then we can go ahead, to check all these things. I don't think these assemblymen are doing any serious work for us. It's so serious. My area where I live in Accra here, electricity, we about 10 houses, 15 houses, we're not having lights. Meanwhile, we have assemblymen living with us. What are they doing? It's so sad to have our own brothers living up there, and this is kind of water they are drinking. It's very sad. Very sad. I mean, come on, sir. Let's do something about this assemblyman thing. If they are not working, they should trash it off.
Thank you, Henry. And we'll be wrapping up the conversation shortly, but I just wanted to highlight some issues. And so, as Henry rightly points out, the assemblymen and women are DCEs and the rest, agents of development when it comes to the grassroots. How are they tackling some of these situations? I went somewhere yesterday and the sanitation, piss poor, horrible. What are the assembly people doing about them? My takeaways from the Savannah region, as Ilyasu reported, some girls are even ending up in some men's rooms simply because of the poor water situation. And then we turn around and talk about teenage pregnancy. A gallon of water going for 1 cedi, 50 pesos. And when it comes to, toilet facilities, because of the lack of access to water, it's just at zero. And these are not my words. These are Ilyasu's words. It's a conversation that continues, and we thank you for joining in. We take a bit of a break here, and when we return, there's a lot more we are going to be bringing you. But before we go, H2 Solutions is an elite comprehensive IT solutions company in West Africa that provides service-led solutions to corporations both locally and regionally by bridging legacy offerings and emerging services focused on new technology, new delivery models, and new architecture to mid-sized and enterprise businesses. Now, as PMI authorized training partners, we're organizing a project management certificate course for the general public. The crucial dates to note: 24th May to the 4th of June 2021. 24th May to the 4th of June 2021. It's online. You get 3 hours per day, 3 hours per day, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. GMT. The rate is $800 US. Well, it was $800 US. It now is $400 US. So half of it has been slashed just for your benefit. Now, some other key benefits: you earn 35 PDU contact hours and a certificate. You get a contact hours certificate as well. You get to complete your PMP certification training, project management professional certification training. You get class materials as well. Now, you also get an extensive tool kit of equipment to equip you as a PM experience instructor. Now, for registration and inquiries, reach out via email, info@H2S Africa. Now, let me let you know that the 2 there is the number 2. So info@H2SAfrica altogether.com. And the website is www.h2safrica.com. You can also reach out via the phone lines 0556 757 549 0556 757 549. An alternative number you can call 0556 647 705 0556 647 705. When we return after the break, we talk security matters and what happened to DCOP Ayensu. That's up next on the AM Show. So it's the security conversation that we're going to have here, especially on the back of what transpired recently with DCOP Ayensu Opare Ado. Sad incident, and we're all talking about it. What we're going to do is break it down for you. What has become the impunity that some of our security operatives, employ. But even more, the issue of vigilante groups and what we should be seeing as far as our political establishment is concerned. So briefly, I'm going to walk you through some incidents that have happened in the past, some attacks, assault that has taken place, and then we shall come back to the current situation of what happened to DCOP Ayensu. Mind you, there was an earlier incident in 2017, and as we talk about it, we shall highlight that. So right here, we have January 9, 2017, and a policeman at the Flagstaff House was assaulted by the Invincible Forces. Now, if you remember this incident, this was, of course, after the 2016 elections, and this ensued after that. So that was on January 9. Now, stick with me with the timelines. Then we go to February the 22nd in the same year, 2017, and the MPP's Kandahar boys attacked the Tamale Teaching Hospital CEO. This was a long-standing issue that hit our media space. We were all talking about it. How did that culminate? Well, so that happened in 2017. No proper closure to that matter. Then, in the ensuing month, yet another one happened. This was in March 2017, and there was an attack on the Ashanti Regional Security Coordinator in Kumasi. So now, this becomes the second time that we have had some such attack of this nature, and it's both been in the Ashanti region. You go to March the 30th, 2017. Again, the Invincible Forces attacked a school, the school feeding program caterers in Atebubu. That was in March 2017, where the attack on school feeding caterers in Atebubu actually occurred. Fast forward, you go to April. So if you look at the trajectory, you have January, February, March, twice in March, and then April. So in each of the first quarter of 2017, we had some such attacks. Now in 2017, Delta forces stormed a Kumasi court and freed 13 suspects in open court. The Delta forces stormed a Kumasi court, freeing 13 of the suspects in open court. The Lady Justice, the harrowing experience that she went through. We all recall that incident. There was a lot of talk about what should happen, but what did happen? Well, you know it better than I do. Then we go to April the 3rd, 2017. Invincible Forces locked up the Eastern Regional NHIS office. So it's not just been the regional coordinators. Here we look at the Eastern Regional NHIS office, which was locked up by Invincible Forces. July 27, 2017, the Delta Forces stormed the Ashanti Regional Metro Mass Transit Terminal over its new director, whom they were unhappy with. In August 2017, Invincible Forces threatened chaos over jobs in Tema. Let's go a bit further to October, and the Kandahar boys locked up a school feeding office in Tamale. So this would be a recurrent theme, the second time at least in this chain of events. And then in May 2021, the latest that we have, we see that attack by purported Delta Forces operatives on the Ashanti Regional Security Coordinator. And so that is the situation we're grappling with currently, the sort of impunity that we've seen in this regard. But before we come to the current, situation, what has happened, we want to give you a bit of a teaser, right? We want to take you back to 2017, when the initial incident where a regional coordinator, again in the Ashanti region, was attacked. Take a look. So that was the initial incident there, and you see how the Ashanti Regional Coordinator in 2017 was roughed up. Well, there's a new situation, DCOP Ayensu Opare Ado, and he's been sharing his experience with my colleague Evans Mensah. In fact, yesterday he was on PM Express. This is what he had to say.
On the 11th of this month, at about 5 p.m., I was in the office with my secretary when a group of 7 young men came to the office and said that the National Security Coordinator has asked them to bring me to Accra. I told them I wasn't going to go to Accra with them. They should go. I will be there myself the next day. They said no. Then they started struggling with me and they handcuffed me. And when they did that, we were struggling. And I said, I won't go. My wife is in Accra. She's come back to me in Kumasi. I can't leave her in Kumasi and go to Accra. They asked of the vehicle that I was using, and I said the vehicle was at home. And so my boys brought the vehicle. So when they brought the vehicle, they wanted us to go down. I said, I won't go. Then we started struggling again. And I told them that I wanted to go and urinate. And one of them followed me and said, and that's why he was following me and said, oh, but we are all men. You can, sorry, I can follow you. I said, no. He followed me to the toilet and I urinated and came back to my office. Then my boys, when they were bringing the vehicle, informed the police that this was what was happening in my office. And the police came. The first team came, and the second team came with the Deputy Regional Police Commander, who immediately directed or instructed that the 7 men should be arrested. And they were arrested, and I followed them to the regional police headquarters. And when we got there, we were gathered together, and they said they should leave. The 7 guys should leave, and we should come the next day. And what I intend telling you is this, that when they got to my office, I was there with my secretary. They closed the door, took our phones, and even one of them hit me with an AK-47 rifle.
You were hit with the butt of the AK-47 rifle?
Yes, with the butt of the AK-47 rifle. And I said, what is this? That they say we should bring you to the National Security Headquarters. And I said, I won't go. So when the police picked up, I don't know what should have been done. But if it was in my time, I would detain all of them. But the police never detained them. And they said we should go and come the next day. That's Wednesday. On Wednesday, I went there, and none of the 7 came to the regional police headquarters. I wrote my statement. My secretary, with whom I was in my office, wrote her statement. And one junior officer, Nanso, who was in his office, and that was also locked. The operations room also wrote a statement. So waiting for what would happen.
So they said you should be brought to the National Security Secretariat headquarters in Accra. Did they identify themselves as true operatives of the National Security Secretariat?
They were not the true operators. Well, I knew 4 of them. Mustafa, Staff, Mohammed, Saidu, Kerry, and Atta. I knew 4 of them who had been with me in Kumasi. They were coming to my office. They wanted me to go and do this Galamsey thing with them, and I never did want that to happen. And the other three, I never knew them. But one mentioned his name as Roxing, the leader of the group, and the like.
So these people...
Robert, yeah, so it was Robert. Yes. Please, I'm listening.
So that was the interaction with DCOP Ayensu Opariado as he narrated his ordeal, including being hit with a rifle, his car, and all of what he had to go through. And this is the second time in a matter of some 4 years that this is happening. Let's connect via Zoom now with our court correspondent, Joseph Akable, who is going to take us back a bit because we're looking at vigilantism here. These political party junters coming into sharp focus. And that also raises questions from the Emil Short Commission's work, its recommendations on the back of what happened in Ayawaso, West Wuogon. Joseph Akable, thank you for joining us on the AM show.
Good morning, Ben.
Great to have you. So just to put the matter in context, I'd like you to walk us through what the recommendations were of the Emil Short Commission in specific regard to vigilantism activity.
And so, like you did indicate, it was one of the issues that came up that the commission looked at because right from the onset, they had to carry out the violence in terms of the gunshots that took place at the Labalichi School Park. The claim had been that there had been individuals.
So it appears technology is not helping us this morning, but we'll employ another means. There are many ways of killing a cat. So we'll connect with Joseph Akable via the phone lines since Zoom is not being particularly helpful. But we're simply trying to trace our steps back in terms of the historical antecedents, what has been happening on the back of some of these assaults by vigilante groups. And the latest we've heard, the one on DCOP Ayensu Opariado. So we go back to Joseph Akable, our court correspondent, who also has details in respect of the Short Commission's work. Joseph, so let's start again to break it down, what the recommendations were of the Short Commission.
And so in terms of the general recommendations, when you just open that part of the report, there are 15 instances where the commission makes reference to militia. You recall that the commission opted to describe them as militia. So one recommendation that the commission made was that there should be the immediate criminalization of the establishment and or funding and other support for militia organizations in Ghana. In terms of the government white paper that was issued, government did indicate that one, it disagrees with the commission in terms of its characterization of the group as militia, but government did note that even prior to the commission completing its work, it has been able to pass the Vigilante and Other Related Offences Act, that is Act 999. And so that was by way of the government response to this particular recommendation. Another recommendation that the commission made with regards to this particular issue was that there should be a multi-stage process to enable all aspects of the problem of party-associated militias and vigilantes to be appropriately explored. And in terms of what has been done about this particular one, we can look at the efforts by the Peace Council that you recall engage political parties, and eventually a code of conduct was issued where the parties committed to disbanding such groups. Again, the commission recommended that in terms of its findings, it's an important finding that made. The commission finds rather disturbingly that the national security establishment is a means by which party faithful are resettled. Whether or not these persons who perform vigilante functions are members of any known militia groups, their very presence within a state security machinery encourages opposition parties to also seek to counter their activities. Given that these persons are citizens and not ordinarily disqualified from such appointments, the Commission is particularly worried at the manner of the absorption and absence of a system for proper training and re-socialization. And so the Commission was raising concerns about the fact that it appears people who belong to political parties and sometimes belong to these vigilante or militia groups tend to get into the national security apparatus, and they believe that that was not something that helps very well. Another observation that the Commission made was that it says the current situation reflects an easy transition in which members of a party militia are appointed into the national security apparatus. Then party-associated vigilantes or militia, the commission finds that the reality of militia groups either formed by the political parties or otherwise affiliated to them is beyond reasonable doubt. It goes on to say that evidence led before the commission clearly showed that these groups are either actively supported and or funded by political parties. And so the concern really that came out of these recommendations was to urge the political parties and government, for that matter, to either use legislation or ensure that the practice where individuals are recruited into this state security, especially the national security architecture, it becomes a thing of the past. And government agreed, except that it disagreed with the characterization, and also made a point that by way of the evidence that had come up in the commission, there was no specific evidence that showed specific individuals who belong to the vigilante groups who had gone into the national security architecture.
So, Joseph, one thing of interest to me in all that you have said is the bit about that recommendation concerning the fact that national security as an establishment is becoming a means by which party faithful are resettled, which also encourages opposition parties to counter their activities. And it appears this is something that we've not been able to run away from. The Peace Council doing its bit with the pact that was signed by the major parties in our country. But it would appear on the back of what we've seen with DCOP Ayensu Opariado that we still have quite a bit to do. Maybe your concluding thoughts right before I let go of you, Joseph.
I mean, I think this particular issue in terms of the Ethiopia Opariado situation is a reminder. And yesterday, Professor Enin was spot on when he made the point that it appears that the conversation ended right after the recommendations were issued and the white paper also came out. And so it just reminds all of us that there's more to be done by way of ensuring that we deal with the matter. What is interesting to note is that if you recall, the political parties were supposed to actually, under the Vigilante and Other Related Offences Act, they were supposed to write to the AG's office informing them of the groups associated or affiliated to them, which groups they would have indicated that such groups are disbanded. But we know for a fact that that did not happen, and as it stands now, no one has been prosecuted under that particular new law that was formed. And so if we are being told that the Delta Force, which is per the new vigilantism law, is actually an outlawed group, it's illegal to even say you belong to such a group. And so to hear that the group has carried out such an action is very disturbing, and obviously means that the state security, the police, that for that matter, need to move into effect the arrest for the prosecution in line with this particular law to take its course.
Well, Joseph Akable is our court correspondent. Interestingly, as part of the short commission's, recommendations, it was said that the SWAT team at National Security ought to be disbanded. That is something that has not happened. Coming to the fore, DSP Azugu, who also comes to the fore when it comes to the Caleb Kuda issue in recent times, a related matter. But we have Professor Enin, security expert, who spoke as well on PM Express yesterday with Evans Mensah. This is what he had to say about the situation.
And here we have a second security coordinator with a presidential commission being brutalized, being humiliated, being threatened. Now, this is not just an ordinary individual. This is an officer and a gentleman who is risen through the ranks to the position of a deputy commissioner of police. This is an officer who has served as a regional commander. So what we are seeing, and by mentioning or specifically identifying Delta forces, it's showing you that those who are members of these powerful groups are a law unto themselves, in which the phraseology national security is only used in an ad hoc manner and in an opportunistic manner to clothe themselves for that authority and the power to be able to abuse people's rights and to undermine the authority of the state. We are seeing the beginnings of a monster, of a hydra-headed monster that we need to elevate, and I've said this consistently, we need to elevate this monster to the level of an existential threat to the state. Look, when you defy the orders of the president, routinely, those who defy that must be punished and resisted not by the police force, but by the armed forces. Precisely because by defying a presidential commission or appointee, you challenge the authority of the commander-in-chief. And we can't and we mustn't have that. This is dangerous.
Security expert Professor Edding referring to the situation there as a hydra-headed monster. And it's being inflicted on ordinary citizens. It's being inflicted on officials of state as well. The question is, where does it end? Well, it's a conversation that we shall keep having. But when we return after the break that comes up next, we bring you a lot of action on the National Science and Math Quiz calendar. You don't want to miss that one. Do stay. Thank you for staying with us on the AM show. It is NSMQ time. And of course, I don't know about your school, but hopefully they're still repping. But yesterday, there was a lot of talk about the Western region. And today we have more from Maxwell Agbagba in that respect, what has been happening in that part of the country. Do watch this. We'll connect shortly live with our correspondents.
That's a great one. That's a wonderful anthem. Congratulations, girls. Are you excited?
Yeah. We really expected more than this today. But throughout the contest, we realized that it's not just about saying it. It's much more about working harder to get the points. And we've realized our mistakes. Okay. So even though we've won, this is not the highest peak. We still are doing our best to get more points at the national stage. So expect the very best from us. We will go back.
Okay, is Archbishop Potter girls going to break the genes of the girls could not win in the competition ever after 2 decades?
Okay, so it depends on our perseverance and our hard work. So if we put in much effort, we believe by the grace of God that we'll be able to break that.
Okay, so should we expect that?
Well, yeah, more or less. Yes.
More of it. Okay, great. Thank you. Let me talk to your science and maths coordinator, Matthew Attap. Matthew, tell us, what's the feeling like in your camp right now?
For today, this is not what we were expecting.
Okay.
Yes, this is not the way my girls display.
Okay.
Because from round one, I could see that they were not all that answering the questions the way we prepared them.
Yeah.
But at the end, we were able to qualify.
Okay.
But the points we had is not the points we expected to because the points is too low. The points are, yes, okay. 39 is not what we expected to get. 38 rather.
Okay, so we should expect more work?
Yes, the team need
better performance than that?
Better. So Wednesday, you see them.
Wednesday we see them in action?
At the regional championship.
Okay,
yes.
What about the national competition? What are you looking for?
Yeah, national too. This year, we want to go ahead, move ahead. Because last year we were eliminated at the 1A stage.
Yeah.
But this year we are expecting to move above that stage.
Okay.
Like always say, regional championship shouldn't be our portion.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you for talking to us.
You're welcome.
Congratulations once again, girls.
Beautiful there from the Archbishop Porter Girls Senior High School in the 2nd Takrady area of the Western region. We connect now live with my colleague Maxwell Agbagba. So, Maxwell, there's a whole lot of action going down. The Archbishop Porter Girls yesterday not satisfied with their performance, though they've qualified for the national competition. What more can you tell us from the Western region? What has been happening there? Maxwell, can you hear me? So we shall try to connect with Maxwell Agbagba, who will bring us more updates as far as, the Western Regional competition is concerned. Of course, earlier we also had the situation with the Empohon Senior High School, which actually, for the first time in the Southern Belt, scored -2. That is a novelty in the Southern Belt as far as the NSMQ is concerned. And another matter that I raised this morning to do with what exactly is happening to our less endowed schools when it comes to science education. Another subject that we're going to be looking at in respect of the National Science and Math Quiz at point. But we're going to try to reconnect with Maxwell Agbagba. And as and when we have him, we'll be getting him on to tell us about what more has been happening in the Southern Belt as far as the National Science and Math Quiz is concerned. If we're able to get Manuel Karanting as well, we'll go to the Northern Belt. Maxwell, thank you for joining us. So I was talking about Archbishop Porter Girls yesterday and their celebrations, but what more has transpired in the contest as far as the Western region is concerned?
Well, yesterday we had St. Mary's Boys, SHS, also qualifying for the national competition, which will be happening in October. Okay. On the first day that happened sometime last week, Saturday, we saw St. John's School also, qualifying to the regional, to the national competition, which will take place in October. What will be happening today will be the final round of contests for the regional qualifiers. We have the Western region and then the Western North region. Together, they come together to make up the Western zone. So instead of a championship, instead of a regional championship like we've had in the Greater Accra region and the Central region, this time it's going to be the Western zonal championship. And in there, we're going to have seeded schools like GSTS, Ghana Secondary Technical School, where we are right now, and students going about their normal activities. Tomorrow, we'll have them, competing right here in the Assembly Hall, which is just some meters away from me. But let me quickly run you through. I'll run you through some of the contests that we have today. But I have someone who is here to witness, the contest that will be taking place. Can you join us briefly? Your name, sir?
Michael Eric Fletcher.
Oh, okay. You follow the National Science and Math Quiz?
Yes, for some time now.
Okay. Tell me, what excitement does it give you? Why do you follow it?
Well, in the Western that is a very good idea for us. Okay. It's a new region, and now we are now trying to open up with this Maths and Science Quiz. So at least if we are able to get somewhere, it will motivate those in the hinterland at least to participate more.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay. And what does it do to you? Which school did you attend?
I attended too many schools. Twansi Secondary School, Apam Secondary School, and then I attended Commander Training College or College of Education.
Okay, but where does your heart belong really? If it comes to the National Science and Math Quiz, which school?
It belongs to my school. It belongs to my school. That is why I'm here.
Okay.
The BNE Senior High Technical School. I am here because of them.
Oh, okay.
I am not part of the team, but I have traveled all the way to give them the moral support to win.
Wow. Where did you travel from?
The BNE in the Western North.
Okay, and you came on your own?
I came on my own.
Just to watch them?
Just to motivate my students.
Wow. Do you think they'll be able to qualify for the national competition?
I promise you they are doing it. You see, this is an eye-opener for those in the Western North.
Okay.
So at least it's a platform for us to expose ourselves. Even when we don't, we'll get the exposure, and next time we can further on.
Sure. I get it. Thanks so much for talking to us.
Thank you very much.
And then good luck to your team. Hopefully, you traveling from the BNE to this place will not be in vain.
It will not be in vain. We are winning.
Thank you. Okay, so you just had someone who traveled all the way from the BNE to come and support his former school, and he's determined to pushed them to victory. In fact, when we got here, we entered Assembly Hall. He was the first person I met. He's the only person here right now. We're still waiting for the schools to arrive on the ground so the competition, the contest itself would start. But you can see the zeal and the excitement, the National Science and Maths Quiz, the regional competition, has already generated, Benjamin.
Well, Maxwell, thank you for that very interesting report, and very interesting from that gentleman traveling all the way just to, root for his team. Well, this is where we draw the curtains on this morning's installment of the AM show. But you know what? It's a lot of hustle every day, what we have to do and all of that. Don't draw your assumptions and think, oh, this and that. Charlie, if tomorrow you see that boy, they fly small, it's been a lot of hustle. Here's Stone Boy, and that's how we wrap up the show on this terrific Tuesday. Enjoy.